Hey guys, Brian O'Day, one of the pastors of Pillar Church of Jacksonville, also serve as the executive director of the Praetorian Project. I'm joined again, especially if you just watched another video with Colby Garman, one of the pastors of Pillar Church of Dumfries, and really wanted to give an update about this thing called ManDown. Our social media has kind of been flooded with some pictures from ManDown. We're going to see some more of those after this coming weekend as well. And so just wanted to talk about ManDown. And so, Colby, what in the world is ManDown?
Yeah, Man Down is a men's weekend event that we started 11 years ago here at Pillar Church Dumfries. Along with at the time, I believe it was just us in Stafford Baptist when we started that year.
Your sending church, Stafford
Yeah,
Baptist.
our sending church. And, at that time it was a way for us to, theoretically to not only encourage our men, but it was a way for us to continue to develop a relationship between those two churches
Right.
and kind of, in a sense, grow an appreciation for our shared history and while training men, to do that. And so we've been doing it for the last 11 years, and it's really been an exciting experience.
Yeah, that's great. 11 years happens to be about the same time this idea for the Praetorian Project was coming to fruition as well.
Yeah.
And so kind of concurrently with the Praetorian Project happening, ManDown happening, over the years, you've started adding other pillar churches that are in Northern Virginia to that mix. So Stafford Baptist still goes, but you also now Pillar Stafford and Pillar Woodlawn and Pillar DC all attend that ManDown as well. So really exciting. How many did you have this past weekend?
This past weekend, we took about 145 men. I think there were 150 registered, maybe a few that
Yeah,
weren't able to make it for
right.
situations that came up. But it was
What was it the first year? Do you remember?
yeah, I think there were 31 the first year that
31.
we did it.
Okay, good
Yeah.
deal. So cool to watch that grow and the number of churches represented there. So
Yeah, almost unbelievable, really. I mean, as we were in the room together, just some of the, I think there were like 5 or 6 of us that were
wow.
at the original
Yeah.
11 years ago that, and just we're talking a little bit about how cool it is to see what God has done. Part of the heart behind Man Down really is that we live in a culture that one doesn't really even know what man is. And we wanted to put a biblical vision of authentic masculinity before our men and build a culture of godly men in the life of our church that really wasn't characterized by pride or power, but using the strength that God has given us to lay our lives down for those he's called us to serve. And that's why we called it Man Down instead of, there's so much of the bravado culture that calls men to man up.
Right.
And we locked in on 1 John 3:16, the first year that we were developing the idea where it talks about the love of Jesus, and says as an imitation of that we should lay our lives down for the brothers.
Right.
And that idea of laying our lives down as men really is where the concept of Man Down was born out of. And
Yeah.
it's been cool to see that's the sort of culture that it's created. I think as we were there together this weekend at the one here in Northern Virginia, there's just a sense of transparency, safety for men to just
Yeah.
be who they are, a real sense of humility and joy, and thanksgiving for the grace of the gospel, and so it's a rare experience in life.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Very cool.
But in terms of those who were there, it's been cool. We took that idea of staying connected early on with Stafford Baptist and Pillar Dumfries, and it just became, hey, every time we plant, we want to make sure that church knows that we want them to be a part of this, and we can continue to do that together. And so we did have this time around Pillar DC, Pillar Woodlawn, Pillar Church of Dumfries, our Spanish-speaking congregation, IBGE, Pillar
Yeah.
Church of Stafford, and Foundation Church, and of course Stafford Baptist. And then, as well as that, one of our elders left a couple of years ago, who was a big part, Jamie Lamato, who was a big part of helping with Man Down here while he was an elder, and began pastoring Mosaic Church in Winchester. And so we had some guys from Mosaic Church of Winchester come with us as well. So.
Very cool. Well, that's exciting. I know I was able to go last year to the 10-year reunion of ManDown, and man, it was like a family reunion in a lot of ways. Former members of Pillar Church of Jacksonville were there, and folks that I've been members with at Pillar Dumfries, and just moving around I'm able to do, and other people moving around. So it was really cool to have that that family reunion atmosphere. It was really cool.
Yeah, personally, it's exciting because you don't get a lot of opportunity to see the benefits of longevity in ministry.
Right. In our work, for sure.
Yeah, in our work, especially with Praetorian Project. But in this particular event, two of the pastors that were there, I've known them since they were middle schoolers. And they either planted your church or they're pastoring in one of the churches now. And so I can remember when they were baptized, and one of them I can remember when he came to faith. To see them flourishing in ministry now and really kind of coming into their own, it's exciting. So
man, praise God. Very cool. So that's cool enough, right? It being there in Northern Virginia, but what happened different this year?
Yeah, so this year really is something we've been working on for the past 18 months or so, which was to take what we've been doing at ManDown here and develop it in places where we've got multiple church plants in the Praetorian Project, and make it one of those events that at least in as many places as possible where we have Praetorian Project churches, that can be a unified, consistent kind of event that happens no matter where you're located or which one of the churches you're connected with. And so this year, just a couple of weeks ago, ManDown Eastern North Carolina happened. And so we had, of course, as you know, you were part of that, but almost 30 guys, 28 guys, I think, that went.
Yeah, we had, high 20s, whatever it ended up being. But so we had Pillar Jacksonville and Pillar Topsail, and then
plus a core from Pillar Havelock.
Yeah, some of the planting team from Pillar Havelock, and then the future planter for Pillar Fayetteville. So
that's right.
All of those guys were there together. Mostly, obviously, Pillar Jackson, Pillar Topsail folks, but it was great, man. Just we were able to see on a smaller scale a lot of the goodness that I saw up in the Northern Virginia one. Had a good location that we were able to find, and one of the things we were talking about just before we even hit record on this was just the men have grown. We've seen it in both locations. Is the men have loved the singing and being able to sing with just the men, and of course there's lots of. We schedule lots of free time, so there's lots of time to interact with folks. It was great. We did ours 2 weeks ago, so man, it was really good.
On the singing part, I was telling somebody this weekend. I said I don't really get the dynamic entirely, but it's almost sort of like for some men who are a little more reserved, it's like, hey, it's just us in here. All right, and they like it's something that comes out of them, just a sort of an energy for worship that's really, really powerful, and it's exciting to see, and everybody always comments on that aspect of the retreat every year. So but also, we mentioned Eastern North Carolina, this coming weekend in Southern California, our 3 churches there. Last I knew, I had over 30 guys registered to join for ManDown Southern California, which I know both of us really were wanted to be a part of.
I'm going.
And I thought that was the case, that you are going. I'm glad you're getting to live my dream. But I'm so excited. I mean, to think about just like a little concept that comes in your head in 2011, and to see it carried out and benefiting, blessing guys even still, it's really, really exciting. And so I'm thankful they're getting to join up this weekend there.
The event I'm at right now, Trace Martinez from Pillar Oceanside's here as well, and so we've been talking about ManDown and excited for it in Southern California. So
I feel like this is a good chance for a Kirby Mills shout out.
Oh man, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure he messaged me last week and said, hey, And now Kirby's been involved in probably 4 Praetorian Project
I think
churches
so.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
A huge part of the project over the years. He's currently, I think I just got his letter for Kailua Baptist. He's in Hawaii, praying for the Lord to raise up work there as well. But he messaged me and said, "Hey, I decided I'd go to Southern California for ManDown this year. I'm going to miss you guys. Somebody else will have to do the escape room."
Right.
And so that's
Yeah.
it's exciting, that guys can connect that way and really have an experience they can look forward to, really connecting with other brothers. So
Knowing Kirby, I was expecting him to register for all 3 of them and fly in from Hawaii for all 3 of them. But last year, just the fact that he's flying from Hawaii to go to a day-and-a-half event is pretty.
It says something, about the
it does.
experience. So.
Yeah, one thing, one of my goals in seeing this in the 3 locations and wherever we have a cluster of pillar churches is to create more opportunities for when military service members and their families transition to a new duty station and they're looking for a new church and they walk into a new church. I'm just trying to increase the chances that there's going to be a familiar face in that church. Honestly, like there's so many things we're doing that we're trying to do that. When you move, you go to a new location, you walk into that church for the first time. If it's a pillar church and a Praetorian Project, I want there to be a really high probability that you see a familiar face and that you're a familiar face to them as well. And I just think that will help the transition so much. We have that amongst the pastors. We're trying to see that amongst the members as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point. I think we do all these activities during our one here in Northern Virginia, and it kind of mixes up all the churches. So you end up kind of cross-pollinating a huge bit during that part of the day. And the result of that is the potential after those PCSs and moves beyond just knowing somebody through Pillar Dumfries, but kind of having maybe met them here at one of our sort of regional events really gives a chance for a connection later.
Yeah, very cool. Well, very exciting. It's cool to, like you say, sometimes we have ideas and I have at least 50 good ideas a day, but the number of those that actually manifest into anything, let alone 10 years later, is minimal. So, man, very exciting to see this. I'm glad I got to go to 2 of them this year, got to go to the Northern Virginia one last year, and very cool. So, I would say for the men in our churches, stay tuned for next year. Maybe you missed out on ManDown this year. Stay tuned. If you're in one of our outlying regions currently, so like San Antonio or Okinawa, or one of those churches that currently is out of those geographic regions, maybe you just pick one and sign up for it and see if you can travel to go to one of the ManDowns. But highly encourage you to do so. And the other thing is, as we sign off here, pray for fruit resulting from these. Some of these events, if we're not careful, it's a cool event and we kind of come off with a spiritual high and then it kind of goes away. But what we really want to see happen is that reverberates in our life and that we are changed because of it. Not just move on with our life and forget that it ever happened. So
that's great.
Be praying for that. Cool. I appreciate you, Colby. Take a moment right now, if you watch this to the end, to pray for that, specifically for the men in our pillar churches, that they would respond to what God was doing in them and through them at ManDown. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.